All right, today we're going to be previewing the New York Giants' upcoming 2025 season. We're looking at Warren Sharp's book. You should go check it out. He's got the hard copy available or the PDF version. Hard copy is $100 on Amazon, worth it in my opinion. But if you want the cheaper version for the PDF, it's $30 on his website. Go check him out. Warren Sharp Football. Guy's amazing. $100 better last year. Tailing all of his picks, made over 15 grand last year. That's insane. That's insane. But today we're going to look at the New York Giants. So far, we've covered what? The Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Cowboys. Now it's going to be nice to look at like a team that had a terrible season last season, because we were looking at teams that had pretty solid seasons. Now we get to look at the Giants and see what the data and everything says about them. I mean, they were 3-14 last year, had the third overall pick this year, 6-11 the year before that, 9-7-1 the year before that. Obviously, it was chaos with the Daniel Jones stuff last year. The hottest head coaching seat in the NFL is Brian Daboll in the New York Giants to start this season. I don't think there's any argument with that. Will, you review the New York Giants and don't have Beardo on. I'll bring Beardo on and we'll do that. Beardo and I are going to go to the Texas-Florida game in October. I'm going down to Orlando, staying with him, and then we're going to drive up to Gainesville together and go to the game. Yeah, and plus we got Grass Guy here. No, listen, I'll bring Beardo in and we can talk about all this stuff, see what he thinks. It'll be a good little preview, though, right now. Okay? So let's dive into all this beautiful info that Warren Sharp has put together. Key players lost. Azeez Ojulari, edge rusher. They lost Drew Lock. I don't know if that's a key piece, but okay. Jason Pinnock, Adoree Jackson, Isaiah Simmons, Matthew Adams, Patrick Johnson, Tim Boyle. Forgot he was even on there. And several others. Key players they added during free agency. They added cornerback Paulson Adebo, however you say that name. Must be pretty damn good at his job because he's getting paid $18 million a year. Javon Holland, safety. They're beefing up the defense, which is interesting because the defense is pretty solid. At $15.1 million a year. Russell Wilson was added. That was one of the key quarterback signings. Let's see. Him and Jameis Winston. Russ is making 10.5. Jameis Winston is making 4. Yeah, that's crazy that Russ is on the Giants, and then what's his name? I can't think of his name. Who signed with the Jets? Justin Fields. There we go. Added right tackle James Hudson. Chauncey Goldson also added. And Zach Pascal for wide receiver. They got him on the cheap. Grass Guy says, in truth, those H guys suck. They had a good draft. They got the best overall player in the draft, Abdul Carter. Some people are wondering, like, oh, are you going to take him or not? You kind of are good at defensive end. Listen, you cannot pass up. I was hoping they would because I wanted my Patriots to get him, but you cannot pass up on this generational talent in Abdul Carter. He's going to have some immediate impact. Then, what was a surprise to everyone, they traded back up into the first round, ended up taking Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss. After signing Russell Wilson and Jameis Wilson in the offseason, they got their quarterback of the future, or so they think, in Jackson Dart. I know Beardo's excited about him. We will talk with Beardo about that later on. Third round, they took a defensive tackle, Darius Alexander. And then the fourth round, they went and dressed running back need with Cam Skattebo out of Arizona State. It's going to be an interesting one. Then they grabbed a guard, Marcus Mbao from Purdue, and a couple seventh-round draft picks. Grass Guy loves that pick. That's what I'm talking about. Wait, which one? The quarterback pick, Jackson Dart, or Abdul Carter? I think you could make an argument for both, but I mean, it's a no-brainer that you love the Abdul Carter pick. But are you talking about the Jackson Dart pick? Or the Cam Skattebo pick? Huh? How about that? All right, let's see what he says about this. He says, I concluded my 2024 preview of the Giants with the following sentence. With Daniel Jones at the helm, the ceiling simply isn't high, and I expect the Giants ultimately will be chomping at the bit to pair a rookie first round quarterback with Brian Dable in next spring's draft. Well, he nailed it. You like the dart pick? Yeah. I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was bad at all. People will say, well, why did you trade back from the first round to get him? Well, you want to get that first round rookie deal contract. If Jackson Dart ends up working out, you want that 5th-year option, 5th-year team option on your rookie quarterback. He's got a cannon. Dude has got a cannon. Yes, it played out in that exact manner, but it should have played out even better. The morning of December 29 last year, the Giants were in line to land the number 1 overall pick in the draft. They earned that with a ridiculous 10-game losing streak. They hadn't scored more than 20 points in 6 straight games. They sat just 2-13. To lock up the number 1 overall pick, they just needed to lose their final 2 games against teams vying for the playoffs, the Eagles and the Colts. But for some reason, this team allowed their offense to explode against the Colts, scoring 45 points with Drew Lock and throwing 4 touchdowns. If you're in ownership and you're smart at all, you would not allow that to happen. You cannot. I feel the same exact way about my Patriots. All my Patriots do is lose week 18 against the Bills, third stringers, and they would have had the number 1 overall pick. Hell, all the Patriots had to do would not beat the Bengals week 1. The Bengals, and yet they beat the Bengals week 1. I hate them. So there's their lineup out there. I don't know what they're doing. So let's see. So they're gonna have. Yeah, how are they gonna play this, man? You're gonna have Burns on one edge, and you're gonna have Abdul Carter on the other end. That is insane. With Sexy Dexy in the middle. That is a scary front line. That is a scary front line. If anything, Giants should be good defensively. Let's see. A win against the Colts on December 29th was not going to save the season. Sorry. A win wasn't going to make the fans happier. In fact, fans booed the win, knowing it might cost them the number 1 draft pick, and it did. But luckily for you guys, yeah, you didn't get one of the quarterbacks, but you still got the best player in the draft, so you're doing just fine. If the Giants simply lost the game, they would have drafted Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick, and I'm arguing that was stupid. I would not have taken Grass Guy. You got to feel the same way. You would way rather have Abdul Carter than Cam Ward, right? Knowing that you got Dart, knowing that if it doesn't work out and you end up being shitty this year, you might be able to get the number 1 overall pick next year and get Arch Manning. I know that's what Beardo wants, but you can't tell me you would be excited for Cam Ward. No, give me Abdul Carter every day, twice on Sunday. Let's see what else we got. Days before the draft, the Giants were the team to put together the most aggressive package to trade up to number 1. They would not have done that if they didn't want Ward. Apparently, they wanted him more than any team aside from the Titans, who weren't budging. Dude, I don't know what people see in Cam Ward. He's not even projected, might not be the starter in Tennessee. Ugh. These teams just get they just talk. I think they just get excited. They see number 1 pick, number 1 quarterback, Heisman winner. Yeah. Like they just talk themselves into it. Not it's just like, how can you be that foolish, man? Sure enough, less than 24 hours later, the Giants traded up back in the back end of the first round to take Dart. Okay, we know all this. Let's look. We're not going to go through all these charts and everything like that. Like I said, you should go get this yourself, especially if you're a sports bettor. Grass Guy's heard me say this a ton of times. I'm going to say it every single time because I'm clipping things out individual videos. But if you're a sports bettor, this is a great resource to have throughout the season. Look at all this, the data that he's put. I'm going to be using this season. I'm going to win my super contest this year. How about that? Okay. Here's their opponents this year obviously the NFC East. They play the AFC West, the NFC North. And then since they finished last in their division, they get to play other. Wait, did they finish last? Right? Yeah, they had to have. They get to play other teams that finished last. So they get to play the Patriots, the Saints, and the 49ers. Oh, God. What a bad year to finish last. You finish last, you're like, oh, we got to play some easy people. You got to play the Patriots. Okay, the Saints. Yeah, they suck. Oh, the 49ers, who are not going to be as bad as they were last year. Here's their weekly betting lines. They're actually favored in a game. Look at that. They're favored in one game all season. Week 1, 7-point dogs to Washington. Next week, Dallas plus the 4.5-point dogs. Kansas City, they're 6.5-point dogs. Chargers, there's 3.5-point dogs. They're only, I don't know about that. They're only 4.5-point dogs to Dallas, and it's in Dallas. That seems weird. Seems a little weird. Then they're favored. They're actually favored in New Orleans. New Orleans is just terrible. Let's see. And then they're 7-point dogs to Philly in their home. They're 7.5-point dogs in Denver. 10.5-point dogs in Philly. 3.5-point dogs in San Francisco. I don't know about that right now. Grass guy, not biased at all. If I gave you the line, San Francisco, New York, 3.5. Which side you taking? It's in New York. Okay, I thought it was in San Francisco. It's in New York still. 3.5 points to San Francisco. Do we really think the Giants are even close to San Francisco's level? I know there's a big question mark with that defense, but we're talking week 9. They should have things figured out by then. Kyle Shanahan, is going to have the offense moving, and he's going to have a game plan for that monstrous defensive line you guys have. Yeah, see, you and I are on the same page there. I'll bet you this. I'll bet this right now that anyone wants to bet it. That line is not 3.5 come week 9. Obviously, these are look-ahead lines. Come week 9, I bet you the Niners are 5-point favorites at least. Not 3.5. It might be 5.5. Speaking of 5.5, they're 5.5-point dogs in Chicago. That doesn't seem right either. I would take the Giants plus 5.5 against Chicago in Chicago. Grass guy thinks it'll be 6. Yeah, I think you're right. Niners have the easiest schedule in the league this year, right? They're going to have a good record. And the Giants have the toughest schedule in the league, not projected to have a good record by week 9. Public opinion is going to shift. The public's going to be all over the Niners. Man, we might just have to bet San Francisco now. But I would take the Giants 5.5 against Chicago, in Chicago. They're 4.5-point dogs at home against Green Bay. Grass guy says 7 wins this year. They're 8.5-point dogs in Detroit. 3-point dogs in New England. I think I'm taking New England at home in that one if it's 3. I think I'll take New England at home. You know what I will take in that game? Actually, screw the points. Let's go under 42.5. New England and the Giants are not putting up 43 points. In New England, week 13, not happening. Those two both have way too good of defenses to allow that many points, and the offenses are going to struggle against these defenses. Give me under 42.5. That's going to be under 39.5 by the time week 13 comes. New England, New York, in New England, in Foxborough. No, I know you can't rely on these lines this early, but you can bet these lines now. These lines are up over at DraftKings or FanDuel. So if you really like something, that's why I'm talking about it. If I know these are not going to be lines when we're there, but I'm trying to look and spot what can we bet now. Now I can't bet it, but I'm going to put a list together of bets that I like I do every year, and put them out to people. Like, hey, being up front, I'm not betting these because I can't. Some of them I can. I'll let you know which ones I actually do. But I'm just giving you like, hey, this is what I would bet if I was able to use DraftKings and FanDuel. Actually, I'm going to be in Vegas. Vegas is going to have these lines. I'm going to be in Vegas next week. Maybe I will snag some of these. Ooh. Well, yeah. I get that. It says, why would you bet them now? We don't know what's going to happen preseason or injuries. No, you don't. You never know. But you could be, it's a double-edged sword there, right? But you can only look at it as if of the information we know now. And knowing now, I know that San Francisco is not going to be 3.5-point dog against the Giants, or 3.5-point favorite against the Giants. They're going to be bigger than that, especially come week 9. And even, let's say injuries. The number one injury you have to worry about is quarterback. Brock Purdy goes down. I'm not too worried about the backup with Kyle Shanahan being there. Unless something happens to Kyle Shanahan, I think the Niners offense is going to be just fine if Brock Purdy does go down. Who's the Niners backup quarterback right now? Speaking of which, that's why I take it now. Yeah, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. We don't know what's going to happen now, but that's why they're look-ahead lines. That's why it's a risk. But if you're right and all things stay the same, or if something happens to the Giants in that spot and key injuries, excuse me, that works in your favor. Oh, yes. Oh, man. Excuse me. Mac Daddy Jones is the backup quarterback there. I'd be fine with that. Kyle Shanahan wanted to draft Mac Jones back in the day. Then they have a late bye week, week 14. Late bye week, week 14. 4-point dogs against Washington, 2.5-point dogs against Minnesota. The sportsbooks do not give Minnesota any respect this year. They're like, last year was a fluke. We don't. Oh man, we don't trust it. A team. I've never seen a team that got 14 wins. Yeah, they lost Kirk Cousins, but they got their guy apparently in JJ McCarthy. I don't believe in him that much, but still, 14 wins last season. Kept the team together for the most part, and yet is getting disrespected like this. 2.5-point dogs. Look at that. 2.5-point dogs to the Raiders. And then 1.5-point dogs to Dallas at home. Oh, man. Yeah, but you usually don't see a rookie quarterback that was taken, 10th overall, get that much negativity. Especially as much as, I can't stop sneezing, dude. As much as these teams or people praise and like JJ McCarthy, I don't know. We'll see. First, on March 21st, they signed Jameis Winston to a 2-year deal. Maybe I'll get over this. Okay, so the Giants. That's funny. So oh man, dude, I can't. Give me a second. I'll be right back. I'm just a mess today. Okay. So the Giants on March 21st signed Jameis Winston to a 2-year deal worth $8 million. Then just 5 days later, March 26th, they signed Russell Wilson to a 1-year contract worth $10.5. Then they added Jackson Dart, which is crazy. Asked about Dart's role, Brian Daboll said, Jackson will get a fair amount of reps with the third string, and maybe you'll see him in there. with the starters. Sprinkle him in when he doesn't even know he's supposed to go in there, just to see how he reacts being in a different atmosphere. He won't know when or why. So it doesn't sound like they plan on using Jackson Dart this year, which isn't a bad thing. I know nowadays we just see these rookie quarterbacks have success, like Jaden Daniels last year. Homeboy, CJ Stroud in Houston. But sometimes it's not bad to learn from two veteran quarterbacks, especially when, let's be honest, we're being honest, it's not going to be a good season for the Giants. Even if you get your 7 wins, Grass Guy, that's not a good season. You don't make the playoffs. So, not saying don't give the guy some starter reps at the end of the season. Do that, but let him learn. Let him learn from some veterans. Whether you like Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston or not, they've been in the league for a long time. They can teach him some things, how to be a professional. Wilson will probably have a short leash, probably. But I don't think it's a bad spot to just have Dart, learn from these guys, and like Daybell says, we're going to throw him in periodically. He's not going to know. We're going to see how he reacts, see if he's that guy. And if he is that guy, he'll prove it. Then you got the guy. How about that? Because neither Wilson nor Winston is familiar with Daybell's offensive scheme, they will need to get primary reps. So basically, they're just saying Dart's not going to get a lot of snaps. Initial reports indicate Dart could likely sit for much of the season, although he certainly could move past Winston to become the primary backup. This comes down to how quickly Dart develops and how well he convinces Dayball he's ready. I mean, it might not even be Dayball's decision because Dayball might be gone. He's got the hottest seat of all the NFL quarterbacks. I agree with you. I am excited to see that defense too. And then, yes, your wide receivers are going to actually have someone competent throwing them the ball. How do you feel, Grass Guy? How do you feel about Dayball? Where are you at with him? You think he deserves to have a hot seat right now or not? Let's see. Apparently, so it says, although Dayball and Schuhen weren't on the hot seat at the end of 2024, the sentiment is very different now. This past January, Mara said about the prospects for keeping Dayball and Schuhen in 2025. He says, I'm going to have to be in a better mood this time next year than I am right now. Not good when your boss says that, right? Not good. Grass Guy says, I loved him the first season. He made a great end of the game decision, managed the clock. Well, that guy was fucking awesome. I think someone got in his ear and changed his coaching. Oh, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I think he's a good coach. He's in a tough spot. Sometimes people, they don't work out their first head coaching job. They go back to being an awesome coordinator again, and then it comes around the second time. Or maybe he's going to figure it out this year. You never know. You never know. You never know. Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, I want to see the rest advantages and stuff. Where is that at? Where is that at? I'm fascinated by this rest advantage disadvantage game by game. He doesn't have it here. It's just weird. Oh yeah, he does. Here we go. Let's see. They have a 3-day. That is wild. Okay, so listen to this. Week 2 against Dallas. They have a 3-day rest disadvantage against Dallas, and what the line is. Only Dallas -4.5. That doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem right to me. And I know Dallas is going to be coming off of playing the Eagles. Probably going to be 0-1. Going to need a win. Yeah. And then They play Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs. Thursday Night Football against. They have a 3-day rest advantage against the Broncos. They have a 1-day rest advantage against the Packers. 6-game rest advantage against the Commanders here because they're coming off a bye. And a 3-day rest disadvantage against the Cowboys in the season. Both times they played, this has got to make you mad, Grass Guy. Both times that you play Dallas, you have a 3-day rest disadvantage. That doesn't seem fair. Both times? Both? That'd make me mad. Maybe once, and then give me, like as a divisional opponent, and both times I'm at a disadvantage. At least make it fair. You know what I mean? Or only have it happen once. That's crazy. But really, all the other games, there's not like all the other teams we watch. It's like week by week. There's an advantage, disadvantage. Here, and I guess we'll probably see this as a theme with some of these teams that are just bad last year that aren't projected to be good this year. There probably isn't going to be much disparity between them because they're not going to be on in many primetime games that would lead them to a rest disadvantage or advantage. They always fuck us against the Cowboys. Yeah, they're doing it again this year. Curious what Patriot would say about that. Let's see. Here we go. Season win total 5.5. Here's the reason why to bet under 5.5 for the New York Giants 2025 season. When it comes to scoring, the Giants struggle mightily in 2024. New York bottom out in the red zone efficiency, scoring only just 43.2% of drives that ended inside the 20. The team scored just 28 offensive touchdowns total last year, the second fewest in the league, ahead of only Cleveland. Giants enter 2025 staring down the barrel of the league's most difficult schedule, ranking 13 positions lower than last season's 20th rank in schedule difficulty. As highly ranked as the Giants' front seven was going into 2024, at least compared to their own positional groups, New York had difficulty stopping the run. They allowed an average of 136.2 yards per game, with opponents gaining an average of 3.3 yards after contact. That is not good. That is not good. That is not good. But here is why you should bet over 5.5 wins for the New York Giants in 2025. Daniel Jones was finally drummed out of New York midway through the 2024 season after winning just 24 of his 69 total starts with Big Blue. Joe Schoen made it a priority to find his replacement throughout the offseason. He signed Russell Wilson to a 1-year deal, James Winston to a 2-year deal, but he shocked the league by trading back in the first round to select Jackson Dart with the 25th overall pick. Giants will hope for better play this year. New York posted the league's worst record in one-score contests last season, losing 8 of 9 for a winning rate of just 11.1%. Teams that perform poorly in these metrics are expected to improve, especially when drastic roster changes are made. I think if I had to pick, I'd go over. I think you're right, Grass Guy. 7 wins. I think he gets 7 wins. That's a brutal schedule, though. Just brutal. Scattaboo is going to be deadly on 3rd and short. God, I love fandom. I love fans. Because we can only see, at least in the offseason, we can only see what can be. If we do this, if we do that, that's where we're going to get to. This is where we could get to. And it's not always saying we could win the Super Bowl, because I think even Giants fans know they're not winning the Super Bowl next year. But it's like, if we do this, we do that, we could be competitive, we could be respectable, we could maybe get to 500. We get to 500, or just one game below 500. And it'd be, give us some hope for the upcoming years. There we go, Grass Guy. I should have known this is what we had to do. Grass Guy says, damn, you will. I was doing fine until today. Now I can't wait for football season. This is why I love talking football in the summertime. Because I feel like even before the Super Bowl's over, when we finish AFC, NFC championship, I start missing football already. Because I know we only got one game left in the whole off season. We have 6 months of yada, yada, yada. I love this stuff. That's why I dive into these numbers. dive into all this nerdy stuff. Because I love the game of football. I love watching it. But I also love making money off of it too. So I'm doing my homework. That's interesting. Their front seven is only ranked 4th overall. I would love to see the other 3 front sevens that are better than the Giants. That's interesting. I can't even get, maybe the Eagles is up there. Maybe the Chiefs. Who else though? Not the Niners, because we don't know what they're going to be. Who's got a better front seven than the Giants? Grass guy. Linebackers aren't the greatest. Is that what it is? Is that what it is? Linebackers? Okay. Maybe I'm putting too much on the defensive line. Maybe that's it. That could be it. I want to know who those are, though. I guess we'll find out as we cover all these teams. Let's see what else we got. It's wild that you could have the 3rd best record last year and win only 3 games, and yet you get dealt the hardest schedule in the league. Granted, part of that's you got the defending Super Bowl champs in your division that you got to play twice a year. So I get that's going to skew it a little bit, but all the other stuff, man. Terrible, terrible hand to be dealt to get the Niners. You catch the Niners coming off a bad year, so they line up in your schedule. 48 sleeps until college football. Oh, can't wait. Can't wait. Let's see. Over the last 2 years, Daniel Jones started 16 games and his backup started the remainder. During that span, the Giants ranked 24 in completion rate, 29 in yards per attempt, 32 in TD rate at just 2.7%. Ugh. 19 in interception rate, 2.3. Third worst in EPA per attempt when pressured, but number 8 in EPA per attempt when kept clean. Well, that's good. Where do the Giants rank the last 2 years on early down pressure rates allowed? Number 31. Second worst in the NFL, allowing pressure rates on 36% of dropbacks. Giants will have to improve upon that if they expect Wilson to have any semblance of success. The problem with the Giants the last 2 years is that they have had no ceiling for their quarterback performance. Their players have simply been terrible. Remember how instructive early down quarterback performance was from clean pockets? Here's where the Giants QBs ranked the last 2 seasons when clean on early downs. 25 in completion rate, 29 in yards per attempt, 30 in QB boom rate, 28 in EPA per attempt, 29 in success rate. That is a massive difference from Wilson, who ranked top 10 in EPA per attempt with the best big play rate in the NFL. If the Giants can improve their protection on early downs, Wilson's performance will vastly exceed what the Giants have received over the last several years. Wilson's moonball has been noteworthy over the years, be it targeting Cortland Sutton or George Pickens. But his downfield success didn't tail off in Pittsburgh, even though the team's win-loss record did down the stretch. Wilson ranked 3rd in accuracy when throwing 15-plus yards. I don't like the guy, but say what you want, that dude can throw an accurate moon ball down the middle. I saw it all the time when he was throwing those to Lockett back in the day in Seattle. On those passes, Wilson ranks number 1 EPA per attempt, number 10 in success rate, and number 3 in yards per attempt. Out of 44 qualifying QBs over the last 2 seasons, when throwing 15-plus yards downfield, Wilson ranked 4 in accuracy, 4 in EPA per attempt, 14 in completion rate, 8 in yards per attempt. You got to be excited about having Wilson there. Once again, we're not going to go over the draft class. I don't think anyone really has that big of an impact. Abdul Carter would be someone that I think could have an impact, but even him, it's going to take him a little while to get used to playing with big boys. Plus, he's got that injury that he hopefully doesn't pop back up. So, if I'm being real, I'm going to stick to what I say. I don't think NFL rookies really have much outside of quarterback. And even then, if we're talking about, yeah, Jaden Daniels was rookie of the year last year, and they had a great season. Didn't win the Super Bowl. Didn't get to the Super Bowl. No rookie quarterbacks ever won a Super Bowl. So I don't think rookies, even that quarterback, really have that much impact their first season on a team. If the ultimate goal is to win the Super Bowl, right? That's all that people care about. Let's see. A lot more stats, great tables. Stuff you guys definitely need to go check out. I'm telling you, this thing here is worth it. I don't get paid anything for shilling for this. Not Warren Sharp's not a sponsor. I don't get paid anything for it. I bought this myself. Just letting you know, this is what I use, and I think it's valuable if you're a sports bettor. They don't expect a rookie quarterback to win the Super Bowl. I know. What I'm saying, but like they always talk about, oh, how is this draft class going to impact the team? And I feel like people overhype because they get super excited about their draft picks. And it's like, if we're being real, it's not going to change your team's overall outcome the following season. 2, 3, 4 years down the road, yes. The next season, no. I think we put too much on these rookies coming in. They're rookies. Going to take them a year to adjust. The only time I get excited about a draft pick is at the spot that we desperately need. Even then, it's like, yes, okay, we definitely need. Let's say you guys really need a defensive end and you got Abdul Carter, right? Let's say you didn't have Brian Burns or anything else, and you're like, yes, we finally got an elite pass rusher. Woo, let's go. You can be excited about it. I'm not saying don't get excited about it. It's not going to help you win the following year. 2, 3, 4 years down the road, yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. That's all I'm saying about it. Fantasy football advice for the Giants is Malik Nabers the only Giant worth drafting. The Giants got it right with Malik Nabers last season, selecting him 6th overall. He got 109 passes for 1,204 yards and 7 touchdowns over 15 games as a rookie with terrible quarterbacks thrown to him. Let's see. So obviously Nabers is a good snag. Is there anyone else worth pursuing from offense in fantasy drafts? The Giants have by far the hardest schedule in projections this season. Pairing it with quarterback situation, we expect multiple quarterbacks to start games in 2025. Wilson should start the season, but we have to bet on Dart seeing the field sooner rather than later, given Wilson's recent production paired with his schedule. Giants open the year on the road in Washington, in Dallas, and then face the Chiefs, Chargers at home. They also have 2 games against the Eagles, as well as games against the Broncos and the 49ers over their opening 9 games of the season. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what this is saying. I don't think you take anyone fantasy from them. So let's talk about defensively. Giants struggled to stop the run and to stop the pass last season, allowing 7.7 yards per attempt and only had 5 interceptions. But I think that's why they went out and signed that cornerback and that safety. They needed to beef up that part. And now you got 2 guys, which in Burns and Abdul Carter, who should be able to get more pressure on quarterbacks. What was the Giants' pressure rate last year? What does that tell us? I would expect the Giants' pressure rate to skyrocket this year, which we know if you can get pressure on the quarterback, your defense is going to look a whole lot better. Whole lot better. Because no one handles pressure that well. Some handle pressure better than others, but every quarterback in the league is worse under pressure than without pressure. I know it's not a crazy thing to say, and it seems common sense, but we really don't think about that. Um, let's see. This is just talking about Wilson and how he's good at passing downfield. More stuff about Wilson. Let's see. God, they break this down talking about passing downfield, passing to the middle of the field, passing inside or outside the numbers. Ooh, this will be interesting. Pairing Russell Wilson with Brian Daboll. Two things are clear about Wilson's pairing with Daboll. Daboll's offense in New York seems like a better fit for Wilson than Denver or Pittsburgh. Wilson will be the most talented quarterback Daboll has worked with since Josh Allen. The consensus take on Wilson is that he's cooked. I'm more optimistic about this pairing than the public consensus. Despite that, however, there is no assurance this will be a successful pairing. Wilson's getting older, and older quarterbacks tend to get even more wary of taking hits and dealing with pressure. The offensive line needs work and must do a better job keeping Wilson clean. Daboll's offense are best when paired with more mobile quarterbacks, and that's not Wilson's strength. Things will not start easy for this new pairing, making it even less likely we'll see Dart, or even making it even less likely we'll see Dart early in the season. In the first 8 weeks of 2025, the New York Giants will face 5 top 7 pass defenses from last year: Broncos, Eagles, Chargers, Commanders, Chiefs. This is by far the number one toughest schedule of pass defenses for any team to start the year. There isn't a close second. Given the number above it, it's paramount that the Giants figure out a plan to keep their QB clean when dealing with this gauntlet of tough pass defenses. I'll share a trivia nugget that I would have never guessed. Name the 3 teams that rank top 5 in O-line spending in 2024 and top 10 in 2025. Chiefs, Panthers, Giants. It's shocking to see the Giants in this stratosphere given such terrible production. We graded them as the number 29th offensive line last year, and they didn't add any new starters this offseason. That's crazy. They are the number 3 most expensive offensive line. That's crazy. The Giants trailed at halftime in 2024 by 97 points across all games. That is crazy. In the last 3 years, the Giants are 11-3 straight up if they're winning at halftime, 3-1 ATS, 5-28 if they're losing at halftime, 10-22 ATS. Well, what does that tell us? If they're losing at halftime this season, we just bet the money line against them. Man. Oh, God, we got the Jets next after that. I can only take one terrible New York team at a time. So it'll probably be a couple weeks before we even think about talking about the Jets. But let's see. For a front office on notice and a fan base starved for progress, the path forward is narrow. Keep Wilson upright, start games faster, convert in the red zone, and prove that this staff can develop a quarterback to get Mara to stick things out another season. There you have it. There you have it. That's what you need. If you're a Giants fan, that's what you're rooting for. I think if you get to 7 wins, that'll keep things happy. Because think about that. They go over double the wins from last year. Things will be looking good. And then you got a quarterback in development. It'll be huge, and I think could happen. I think if the Giants can knock off the Cowboy or the Commanders week 1, that'd be huge. Either them or the Cowboys in week 1 or 2. You win one of those games, you're set. God, it's gonna be such a tough front half of the season, though. God, that schedule's brutal, man. It gets better, I want to say, starting with the Bears and on. I mean, yeah, you got to play Bears, Packers, Lions, Patriots, Commanders, Vikings, Raiders, Cowboys. Oh God, no, it's not. It's not. Oh God, that's brutal. That's a brutal schedule, but that's the 2025 New York Giants NFL preview.